BaltimoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth.
And let's go, nigga. We need God. Because only God can bring us out of this mess.
I may not look like you and you me, but that's the way it's supposed to be. Dare to be you, dare to be me, and dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting this glory shine through. Dare to be you, dare to be me, and dare to be.
Good afternoon, everyone. We got some breaking news, but first we're going to go out to the field down to Prince George's County.
Hey, what's going on?
Mr.
Nice
Martin
to see you,
Mitchell, how are you?
I'm doing well on the move per usual.
That's good. That's good. Martin, give us a sense, and we've just been joined by the very lovely Marcia Jews. Hi, Marcia.
Hello, how you doing?
Good, good. Councilman, we haven't had a chance to speak with you since the election. Your thoughts?
It's a lot of interesting races. I was surprised, to be honest with you, that Francho was in third. I know that somebody people kind of a day or two before the election were saying that Perez had jumped. I didn't think it would translate necessarily, but Wes is going to be the winner. And outside of that, Brown smacked O'Malley, straight up smacked O'Malley. Who else do we have? The county executive race, it was uninteresting, but I'm glad that there were at least some challengers down here. District 23, I'm waiting to see what happens because that Senate race is really close. They gave me hell for my pick Rahila, but yeah, it's really close. So we're gonna wait on the mail-in ballots and everything else.
What are the names we should be looking for
in that 23 race?
Yes.
In my opinion, you're definitely going to be looking for Rahila Ahmed. There's a current senator who was appointed. You have Ron Watson, and then you have Sylvia Johnson. All very qualified candidates, and then you have the delegate seats. So I mean, for the most part,
Sylvia Johnson.
Sylvia Johnson's nice. Sylvia Johnson's nice, and she's about her business. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think in any way, shape she wouldn't be, a good senator. And as I was telling the people on my show, the only thing about her is like I just didn't have a history with her, right? So like I had a history of working with Rahila, and that's why I supported and backed her, because we worked fighting the establishment many times.
Can you just speak to the importance of relationships to an election, to a political campaign?
Sure. I mean, the importance of relationships is like you gotta maintain good relationships, or at least good professional ones, so you can tap into those relationships when you need them the most. When you're running. I think the phrase that I told people is I gave a lot of people grace, and I gave a lot of people favor, and when it was time to run, they paid me back. I'm coming to collect. Pay me what you owe me. All those poll work and all that money I gave you, all this, that, and the third, all the times I hyped you up on social media, I need that same hype.
And so we're all learning that we like people who match our energy.
Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth. I think for the most part, what we're seeing in today's politics is like people want more politicians who are relatable and are like, real everyday people, not just like figureheads.
So Marcia, have you ever met Martin?
No, I have not. Hello.
So Martin does a show on this network on Saturdays.
Nice.
People Over Politics. He's also a councilman in Laurel in the Prince George's County segment, and he's been dubbed the cannabis councilman because he's a strong, staunch proponent of essentially black, and in my words, black people benefiting from all of the black people who got locked up over a bag of weed now
Oh, that's a
white
whole
guys with $10 million.
2-hour show just by itself.
So I guess have you ever met Mr. Richard Deshae Elliott?
Hello, Mr.
What's up,
Elliott.
Rich?
How are you?
I remember you from a segment we did last week, and this guy on the bottom right with the hat. I never seen him before, but good morning, Donnie. Hey,
Hey.
good morning, Councilman Mitchell. Donnie, can I give a quick shout out to Councilman Mitchell? Councilman Mitchell secures Black employment.
Hey, I love to hear that.
Black youth employment at that. There are a very large number of Black youth, or I wouldn't even call them youth, but young adults who got a job working the polls, getting training. I could call that a certain type of job training, voter training, getting $20 an hour. And what did I do for my friend instead of covering the polls? Because I knew my polls were covered for my girl. I was taking him pizza and McDonald's and water. Martin, thank you for helping me have one of the best days of my life on election day. I sincerely appreciate it. I'm gonna keep rocking with you till the wheels fall off, bro.
And Richard, just you know, you give me big ups. I do appreciate it. Just so you know, man, whether you get props or not, you changed the game in Prince George's County. Like there were double the amount of ballots, and you know what I mean. Outside of just the ballots, you changed the game, and you said it was something that you would do. So
there is a delegate who will be representing my grandparents with honor and with distinction, and her name is Latasha Renee Ward. If the mail-in ballot sustained from all that canvassing we did, she's going to come in third, and third is a victory for delegate.
Yes. We're looking forward to Ms. Ward, and Richard's still young enough to do other things. So we're looking forward to seeing you.
I won the job sweepstakes. People keep calling me saying, I want you to work for me. they won't stop saying it.
Look at that. Hey, look at that. I like to hear it. I like to hear it.
Some other interesting developments. Rudy Anthony, who very close with me, lives in the same precinct as myself and Latasha, on a shoestring budget. He might have spent $10,000. Rudy Anthony got 10% of the vote in Prince George's County, and he beat Stanford.
I thought it was 11.
Yeah, you can round up. It was 10.6. You can call that 11. I'll take that.
Okay.
I can reduce credit and work. Rudy Anthony, basically with just the support of myself, Carl Parker, and several others, he was able to get more votes for county council at large than Stanford Frazier, who had the backing of almost all of the unions, some of the other political organizations. Donnie, here's another one.
I don't know how that happened. I was shocked about that one. Because I know Rudy's been campaigning, but I'm like, how the heck did he get 11?
Number one, Rudy was top of the ballot. Number two, there are a decent number of women who think that Rudy it was more of a woman's name than any of the other ones. The only other one, thank you, Mr. Honolulu. Rudy got a lot of votes from people who wanted to vote for a woman. There was no other even remotely woman name. And then on top of that, we coalition built spectacularly. Rudy had the support of the first Latina mayor in Maryland history, Mayor Rocio Tremino Lopez. He was on her ticket. And he also was supported by Sia Fino in the African community. So through the Caribbean community, the African community, the Latino community, and I would argue the Bowie and Central Prince George's vote, Rudy was able to well outperform any and all expectations given his amount of political experience and money. Go ahead, Don. You got to raise your hand. You can just tell me shut up.
No, I have a question for you. How did Juanica Fisher pan out?
She's
winning. She's winning, but it's close. It's close.
Yeah, so
she's winning, but it's close. I'm Team Juanica for sure.
Oh, I'm Team Victor, but
I know we talk about that. It's all good.
You know what? That speaks to something else. Earlier, I'd asked Martin about relationships, the necessity for us to have relationships, and the most beautiful thing about our network, including BlackUSA.News and the PrinceGeorgia.com, which is essentially you two guys, but it's so important that we not wait until we need each other to have a relationship with each other. And I've seen in many campaigns for down ballot races, as well as, like, I never saw Tom Perez. And I'm wondering to myself, how in the world could a guy be in second place who I have not physically seen with my own eyes? I've seen Wes Moore even when I wasn't trying to. How does a guy who I have not seen, and I'm as active as a human being ought to be right now in the middle of a pandemic. And I'm a journalist, so I'm really looking. I never saw him. I really haven't personally seen him since 2006, honestly.
Donnie, I'm with
You
you.
muted yourself, Martin.
I said union support. The union support is really getting them.
Okay, but can you depend solely on the unions? And then when you say unions, I am not the biggest fan. I understand what unions mean to people in unions, but when it comes time to what unions mean to me, the citizen, I've seen the unions support crappy people.
Catherine Pugh.
And so how the hell does this guy's like the union to me is like a bully. I mean, who wouldn't want somebody's support, but how far does the union go in determining who the hell I gotta deal with? I mean, I'm not in a union.
Right. In Prince George's County, those numbers I find also just, I'm not going to call them weird, but just interesting. Peter Francho, who I was supporting and who unfortunately cost me a lot of votes, I think, but I still rock with guy. He came in third in Prince George's County.
Well, let me say this. I commend you both for your loyalty. So in a war like this, let's just recap. And this is, the public is seeing this first. What's most important to me at this juncture in my life, and I hope you learn this sooner than I did, are these relationships right here. You and Martin, maintaining a relationship after the election is more important to me than who won. Because if you win, then I win. If I win, then you win. That's how it's supposed to be. But I've seen a lot of people lose friendships, self-included, after an election. Your thoughts?
You can go first, Martin, because my response could be long.
I knew Richard long before politics. You know, I knew him since UMBC, and you know, I expect to keep him close. You know, hereafter, and to your point, what you're saying, you know, how can a ghost be in second place? Because that's really what he's been this campaign, a ghost. Who knows?
When the Post and the Sun both endorsed Perez, was that not a decapitation of Francho's campaign?
That I agree with that.
Wow.
I also I have heard, I think I read this from some national observer perhaps, that basically the early polls were always right. Francho got his 20 or 21% of the vote. The remaining undecided vote, which I thought could move some ways to Peter due to electability, due to name recognition, blah, 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 was essentially entirely an anti-Francho vote. Wes Moore, by the end of the race, spending something like $9 to $10 million, he caught up with Peter on name recognition. I personally did not find that spending such money would get you to that level of name recognition, but I also never would think that a candidate for governor would get $10 million to spend in the primary. Tom Perez, his numbers I take from combination of the unions,
you should join us,
his commercials, and then the unions, the commercials, and the anti-Francho vote. A lot of the anti-Francho people ended up swaying rather than to John King, as was expected by some people, myself included. Okay. That group moved Richard, to Wes and to Tom.
Let me.
Well, I mean, he also had an Oprah ad. Oprah was out here pushing him, so that's going to elevate him for sure.
We need to bring in Marsha Jews. Marsha Jews, can you cut your camera on?
Camera on.
Okay, you were playing producer there for a second.
Okay.
Okay, so Marsha Jews, you have some breaking news for us. What's going on? And again, these two both have a show on blackusa.news.
So I'm very concerned in looking at all of those little bots, those little plug-in things that they use to save. What do you call them? I know you probably know, Richard, the little thing that they use to save.
The Dropbox.
Well, it's not a Dropbox. It's actually a little plug in to your computer and you save all your information on your computer. And
Mhm.
so when you look at that, there were thousands of these that were missing during election day.
Yep.
And
Armstead Jones said that, I
and
believe.
so and then mysteriously they appear. For me, I have a real problem with the fact that all of this information that is coming from a place where people were voting, I believe is now compromised. And the zip drives, thank you very much. This is unconscionable that Baltimore cities, to me, this is criminal that you would lose information with people's information for voting has mysteriously disappeared and mysteriously appeared. I want my vote. I want to go vote all over again. I want this whole city to have a special election where we go and we vote because we can't trust the vote that's out there. And I believe that that whole board of elections needs to look at it and do a serious investigation.
Well,
I am very angry about this, and I think it's criminal.
I'll take it a step further because this is a continuation of a major problem that happened in 2020, in my opinion. When they did the automatic voter mail-in send-offs, if you were listed as having received one, but you didn't get it or you didn't use it, you had to vote provisionally. So in 2020, during the primary, I was a Baltimore City resident, Baltimore City voter. I voted for Sheila Dixon. I had to vote on a provisional ballot. My ballot was almost certainly thrown in the trash. I think that in 2020, those provisional ballots are truthfully what cost Sheila Dixon the election. So this isn't new. This is a horrific continuation where in Prince George's, my home precinct in Kingsford Elementary, they had cabling issues. They didn't open until, I believe, 9 o'clock. I heard that at the Brentwood Elementary School, or maybe been Brentwood Community Center, where
Roosevelt opened late.
Huh? Roosevelt
opened late.
Yeah,
at like 8:39.
Oh, I don't know who's posing this question. Should Armstead Jones be brought up on criminal charges? I do think that at the minimum, he should have to speak before a committee under threat of perjury, because this is the second, if not third, election where he's been in charge, where he's had comments like, I don't care if you have a broken hip, you should not be able to cut the line. Who cares that we lost the zip files? The fact that it's even on zip files where you don't know what could be edited. How is it not stored to a cloud?
Right. And who's it going to? That's exactly right. Say it again. I'm sorry, because this just has me up in arms.
And that was
go back to the cloud business.
Okay,
that was powerful. Say that again.
So by doing this on a zip drive, if I put in a zip drive in the computer where I'm doing this segment right now, I could open this. Presumably would be in Excel or in a numbers file. I could edit it. I could delete stuff. I could delete precincts. I could move people. All it would have is last edited. Why is it not gone? Thank you for letting us know, Monica. So there were lots of places with issues all over the state, but especially in PG and Baltimore. But if this went to the cloud,
those are large black voting blocks as well. Yep. Let's say that again out loud.
Large black voting blocks, and a lot of upper income black communities where cabling issues, schools not opening, places not having power, all sorts of those issues. Part of the reason I supported Peter Franchot for governor was he wanted to replace Linda Lamone, who's been the Board of Elections chief for, I believe, over a decade and has presided over continuous problems with our elections. So for you to say that in Baltimore City, there should be at the minimum somewhere where Armstead Jones and the Board of Elections are held to account for, were there any alterations? Why is this done on zip file instead of in some secure process? I believe that should be done.
For me, it sets you up for failure. It sets you up for failure.
Mm-hmm.
This is not something that in 2022 we should be having this conversation. The thing that bothers me that voting for Black people has been our priority. Mm-hmm. And if we're now looking at every major Black community and Black district, and those zip drives are just casually disappearing. So, and as to your point, I want to underscore that because this is huge, that you now have the ability to take those zip drives. You can put 100 people in a room, pay them $1,000 each, and they can change everything that was on each one of those zip drives
Mm-hmm.
in the middle of the night, and it takes them all but 5 minutes to do.
Marcia, it speaks to the integrity.
There's
Marcia,
no
it
integrity.
speaks
There's
to
no
the
integrity.
integrity of an election. Let me just state that
Mhm.
back during that first Sheila Dixon run in the state of Maryland, I think there were a couple hundred voting irregularities statewide in 23 jurisdictions. Baltimore City alone had hundreds, like 800. I forget the number. All of these voting irregularities, and then but mainstream media and others, even black people, even black politicians will say, Richard, that black people don't vote.
Well, they do vote. They just can't see their vote because it ends up on some daggone zip drive in the middle of the night. And this didn't just happen for the first time. Something else like this has already gone on. And now it just came to light. The whole city of Baltimore, every person who went in there to touch that ballot should be up in arms and contacting Mayor Scott and removing Armstrong or Armstead, whatever his name is, out of that position. And it needs to be
after that first Sheila Dixon fiasco election.
terrific.
To me, he should have been gone right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
But
this is unconscionable.
It is.
I woke up this morning angry about it. I was like, my vote may not have even worked.
Right.
My vote may have not been counted. And I'm 70 years old. Voting to me is part of my life. We died for the ability to vote. And you're going to sit and talk about a zip drive that has the ability to be edited at will?
Mm-hmm.
That's absolutely unacceptable. And
Right.
there needs to be a serious investigation.
Well, that is, for one point, the next governor is going to appoint all of the Board of Election chairs. So at least at this moment, it appears that Mr. Moore is going to be the nominee and is likely to be the next governor. One of the first checks of his leadership is who is he picking as Baltimore City Board of Election chair?
Better not be Armstrong, what's his face?
Yeah, that's what we'll call him. Armstrong, what's his face, should not be returning. That I think that for all of the election boards, there should be some manner of change. If we go to the store to buy a gallon of milk, you get a receipt. Why do we not get a printout after we vote saying this is who it listed as you voting for? If there's some sort of issue, take it to this place, let them know, and they'll let you cast your ballot again and delete the old one. This is
Richard, you need to go over there and work. You got all this stuff in your head, boy. You need to go over there and take whoever's going to be governor, listen to this voice.
I can't work for Board of Elections because I work for campaigns, but for those sort of minimal ideas, if like one thing that I've seen across the campaign, even in my upper income black community, when you buy stuff, people don't give you a receipt.
Right.
You have to ask for a receipt for when you get chicken or when you go to the grocery store. Why can't I get a receipt listing? Okay, this is your name, this is your address, this is your district, and here's who it's listed as you voted for, that you clicked the button for, at the minimum that the pen ink listed you as having voted for. Why do we not get paper returns? This is a problem where we have digitized, where the information should be easier to store. And ironically, I would dare say it set us backwards because you can alter the stuff can go missing.
Yep.
And then the mail-in ballots, which in theory should be wonderful and very, very helpful, because of Hogan's complaints about election integrity, he vetoed the damn bill. Now we got to wait till probably Tuesday to get a lot of our results in.
I'm glad you said that. I want to ask you, Richard, in your expertise, what does Cox's victory mean for Hogan?
Oh, okay. Number one, Hogan's appeal was primarily to Democrats and independents. That is the first takeaway I will have. His appeal was primarily to Democrats and independents in the state of Maryland.
Are you with us, Martin?
Martin, you're muted, I think, or we just can't hear you.
No, you can hear me, right?
Yeah, we can hear you. You keep your eyes on the road and just listen. Councilman is always moving. He's always helping somebody with some problem. So number one, Hogan's main appeal was to Democrats and independents. Number two, the Maryland Republican Party was only able to get Hogan through in a contested primary, and in 2014. And I think that a lot of that was name recognition. I would argue, as a final point, among Republicans, their elections are entirely about issues and where you stand and all that kind of stuff. Among Democrats, it is much more about image. It is much more about money. Francho ran a campaign entirely about issues and with not that much money. Perez ran a campaign that was mostly about leadership style, I feel. Leadership style and kind of image. And, the Obama connection, I think, is a main point. With Tom Perez, you can call his middle name the Obama connection. Tom, the Obama connection, Perez. And
that was his marketing campaign.
Yes, and from a personal standpoint,
I'm insulted. You're my neighbor. I don't need him to tell me about you.
Exactly. From my position as a voter, I do not have incredibly fond memories of the Obama years. I'm a statistician. Under Obama, black wealth disappeared. Disappeared. We gave a black man the White House and we lost our houses. And moved into apartments and moved out to the rural areas and such.
Richard, hold that thought. We're going to bring in Martin while we have him live. Come on, Martin, chime in. I don't want you to waste your time.
Got it.
The calls. We were talking about was it the governor's race still?
What does Cox's win mean for Hogan's future?
Oh. What does Cox's win mean for Hogan's future? I mean, I think it just proves that, the Republican base definitely supports Trump-like candidates. I support what Richard said anyway, as far as, him having a likability towards independents and Dems. That's one of the things that upset me last election was that there was a lot of Democratic leaders who were faintly propping up Hogan, whether it be like having, smiling pictures with him on the literature or something like that, a soft endorsement that I would say.
So you find that blacks that support Republicans are betraying black people?
I didn't go as far to say all that.
That's extreme.
I didn't go as far to say all that.
Would you say that the Democratic Party has been loyal to black people?
I definitely would not. Come on,
nope.
Come on. I'm a Democratic leader, and I can hold them accountable. No, definitely not. I think it's a false dichotomy that like Democrats and Republicans are like very different. Because even in the state of Maryland, you could see how like depending on the years they change their viewpoints on certain issues. So
what about Roe v. Wade?
I mean, Roe v. Wade, it need to be protected in Maryland. You know what I mean? We need to do everything we can to make sure, and Maryland is protected.
Well, let me ask a woman. Let me ask a woman. Marsha, I should have come to you first on that question.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you should have, but that's all right. I think first, second, third, and fourth of all, don't nobody have no business worrying about my body, period. And especially some man that's always trying to get up in it. So go sit down and leave my body alone. And what I choose to do with my body don't have nothing to do with you, because none of you are going to come into my household and do anything about my household, period. So go sit down and play with yourself, because this is not the place. That is horrific that those people are in that position. We need more women on that doggone.
Why are they doing it, Marsha?
Oh, because they can. And because they're being men and they are in charge and they think that they can control the world.
Some people suggest, Marsha, that it has more to do with the fear of the browning of Maryland, the blackening of Maryland, the blackening of America.
Well, but that we already knew that. We knew that a long time ago when slaves determined that they were going to go ahead and do what they needed to do and handle their business. They saw that they weren't submissive. Oh, wait a minute. Y'all can think, y'all can dream, y'all can build, you can do this. We are a threat to those insecure white males and insecure white females. We are a threat. Richard, and if you sit down and look at everything that we do, they're always trying to take it.
Richard, is there any tie-in between abortion and gun rights?
Absolutely. It says quite a bit that in the same, I believe in the same possibly 3 days, the Supreme Court said that it should be easier to get guns and easier to get concealed carry guns. I believe it was they overturned a New York state law that required some kind of check-in process for a concealed carry permit. And then in the same week, they made abortion more difficult, if not impossible to access, if not impossible to access, illegal to access, if not illegal to access, having to travel days possibly to access. And it is primarily going to impact Black and brown women from a health safety standpoint. It is primarily going to affect white women from an inconvenience standpoint, or from a, we want you to have children specifically for the sake of adoption. There were 2 U.S. Supreme Court justices that basically said, y'all are our pipeline for it might have been 3 actually, in their dissents. It wasn't like an opinion stated on the news or an op-ed column. They wrote this into what you could dare say is foundational United States law as a reason. And when you can cite the need for adoption as a reason to force women to have babies, it's clear this is not about, it's not about
what does this say to white women?
It says to white women that they need to really stop being white women and go ahead and deal with being a woman, and because they're going to be impacted as well. And that subservient attitude needs to be changed, because you are dealing with not only that, but you are dealing with men who are allowing these boys to get guns that are used in a war anywhere in the war. And now machine guns, you have automatic weapons that are approved across this nation, and these white people are letting their children go into these schools and everywhere else and murdering people, going into churches and murdering our people. And so, and then you take them to McDonald's to get them something to eat before they go to jail. Now, in the meantime, if we're caught with just a pistol or what might look to be a pistol, you will shoot and kill us without a thought. There needs to be a total redo, a rebuilding of the United States police forces across this country. These people are racist, white supremacists that are there to kill our people, murder, slaughter our people by any means necessary, for a car stop, for a blinking light, for whatever. And then here we sit, and these laws aren't being in our favor at all, because they hate the melanin in our skin, yet they still be the same damn ones sitting outside underneath the sun trying to get a tan. Don't get me
Let me
started.
just shift gears a second.
Donnie, before we move, Ms. Marsha made a very important point about how the laws are interpreted. And you said earlier about the Democrats and Republicans in Maryland. I want to make a point that I hold for pride, and a lot of people should hold for shame. In Prince George's County, what you could call the crown jewel of Black wealth, of Black participation, blah, blah, blah. I supported Malik Ali Shakur for judge, Howard University educated, a lawyer in the county, has lived in the county for 20 plus years, a Democrat judge. Almost every ticket for those Democratic, you say, senators in Prince George's County, who did they have for judge on their ticket because of her blood money, because of her jail money? A woman by the name of Carol Ann Codier, a Hogan appointee for judge, who has a terrible record, to put it politely, on law. So you were talking about how just because you're a Democrat doesn't mean you're in favor of the Black community. Just because you're a Republican does not mean necessarily that your goal is to be an opponent of the Black community. A lot of Democrats who are in Annapolis were more than happy to have a Republican judge on their ticket, and it is still neck and neck for a judge that, again, was on every single Senate ticket versus a judge versus a future judge that opened the race by coming to me saying, I want to run because I have an open mind and a compassionate heart. So while we do have a lot of things to, thank you, Ms. Monica. While there are a lot of things in this election that are very, very odd, one thing that heartens me is that in Prince George's, people are not necessarily voting all the way down the ticket for races like judge, but Democratic lawmakers are fine with supporting judges that are, Martin O'Lock-em-up ideologues, you could say.
But see, here's the problem I have with everything that you're saying, because now we have the zip drives that are gone. And so all the stuff that you're talking about, all the issues that we're dealing with, we should be starting from scratch. Because to me, all of those votes are tainted. Every vote that was in that doggone those zip drives across this city need to be totally thrown away, and we need to start from scratch and have another date set up for an election. This is unacceptable and it's criminal.
Okay. So look, I want to ask you guys before we wrap up. Any thoughts on Uvalde, Texas? I've seen a lot of finger pointing. This is the school shooting, and the community was upset at first with the school police chief, but now the city police chief. And I know there's a lot of pain. There's a lot of trauma. The direct result of the Free Willy spirit that this country has with guns and ARs. The young man's name, Richard, his nickname was School Shooter. Isn't that so? Am I wrong?
Miss Marsha, I'll go first, so you don't have to say things that are too painful to think on and talk on. But Uvalde being like the first, I would say the first major news story following both of the Supreme Court decisions, or the reveal of the decisions regarding handguns and regarding abortion. It says a lot. You had, what was it, 60-something police officers, I believe? 63 police officers in the lot inside the school, watching.
Didn't do a damn thing.
Participating in the murder of young Latino children. Little babies in the building, getting hand sanitizer, playing Candy Crush on their phone, making damn jokes to each other. We can see it in the damn videos. And we have not had anybody nationally with the courage to say that in Texas, where not only are they watching little babies be killed in the same building,
and they don't care, then Black women in Texas got to leave the damn state if they want to get not an abortion, if you want to get reproductive health care of any kind, if you want to get a pap smear, if you want to get a checkup of any kind, and you want to be able to get it on an affordable basis. If you live in Texas, if you're a Black woman in Houston, Texas, or Dallas, or San Antonio, you might have to travel for 3 goddamn days to get basic reproductive health care services. So again, it says a lot about the, what would be the term? The banality of evil, as we said for the Nazis. It's not right. Evil does not have to look evil. Evil is in many cases people who have will to act but no courage. That's the police officers who had the will to sign up to be a police officer but no courage when you outnumber somebody 60-1. But that's hatred. That all that is hatred. That's they were not white children. They didn't care. Let me say something right here. Coming up in September is generally the Congressional Black Caucus. And then somewhere near there is the Hispanic Congressional Caucus. These two caucuses should be coming together, opposed to party for that weekend, because it's a party. I've been to them. It's a party for the Black and the Hispanic congressional and the mayors and the senators, whomever, from the National Organization of Black County Officials. They all need to sit down and develop a strategy of what should be happening in this nation and quit playing. This is not a party. This is not a joke. And all that foolishness, that there shouldn't be one reception. There should not be one drip of alcohol being poured at either one of these caucuses. And they should all sit together and do a round table and determine how they're going to move forward consecutively throughout, or strategically throughout this nation, and get rid of all this foolishness that's going on. Deal with that doggone police department and all of that national police, whatever the name of that organization that manages the police across this nation. All of those people need to be sitting in there, and a strategy needs to be developed. What do they say? Playtime is over. And our children and daughters and mothers and fathers are dying behind this foolishness, and it's time to stop.
One of the challenges in discussing, excuse me for a second, Richard, one of the challenges in discussing such a news story as what's happening in Texas is that we're all the way over here. We're all the way somewhere else. And the challenge is really understanding the story from the ground, what the dynamics are. You know, it's just like when people in Missouri or Ohio were commenting on what's happening here with Freddie Gray.
Mm-hmm.
And so my question to you, Marcia, to you, Richard, is what are we missing? Watching this news through a national lens without the benefit of this Black media.
Let me give a follow-up to Miss Marcia and then answer your question. Miss Marcia, you got the nail on the head. Right now we're in war. We're in war. The enemy works alone and does whatever the hell they want, and they go wherever the hell they want, and there's no strategy against them. And we're in I would argue to say, the worst misleadership crisis we've had since there's been Black leadership in politics. Elitism in Black politics is at an all-time high. There's people winning re-election, have not come outside since the fucking pandemic started. Didn't help people get their unemployment. Didn't introduce bills, are able to win. And at the same time, we're witnessing colossal failures, lack of forward planning, lack of youth leadership development. In fact, in my race, for example, I had to run against 4 damn tickets. There's youth leadership development. So that's the answer, Ms. Marcia. We're in a war, and the enemy works at random, alone, through chat boxes, and the FBI doesn't care. And then our leaders, who we pay hundreds of thousands, millions, tens of millions of dollars to do, they're happy to let the booze flow in and not think about it. And that's the exact reason why I do not attend Black Caucus national events. I'll attend the ones in Maryland. I can make a difference with them because I can help to change their bills. But at the national level, what's the point? But for what you said about Uvalde or for Baltimore or for a lot of other cases, unless you know a lot about Uvalde, you wouldn't know it's a border town. Right. Unless you know a lot about Uvalde, you would not know that it's a border town with an extremely high Latino population that, like in our communities, most of their police officers are white. Mm-hmm. You would know that in Uvalde that there probably has been or will be soon a lawsuit, I would imagine, regarding hiring and promotion of non-white officers. Mm-hmm. All of these things compound to where there are a lot of people who, I'm not going to say I understand their perspective, but they wonder, how could this happen? And the real question one could dare ask out of scare and danger is, how does this not happen more often when there are police officers and other, you could say, helpers whose job is to do one thing, but their responsibilities in their mind is to do something completely different.
It's their mission. It's their mission. And so you're talking about white supremacists. You're talking about the Ku Klux Klan that just changed their name. And they're in all levels of government. They're in all levels of employment and corporate. And they're boxing us out. They're having us murdered. They're taking things from us. They're not educating our children properly. And we're allowing this. And so if we sit down, if you look at how many Latinas and how many Black folks we have, if we need to get first, second, third, fourth, and fifth of all, Black people need to stop playing and deal with Black people and our Black agenda and supporting and bringing the people who are supposed to be our leaders into place and making them accountable for what they're supposed to do. And we should be standing behind them, be it emotional support, financial support and encouragement, and talking to them on a regular basis. And they should be able to have some open forums where people can come and actually tell them what they're not doing. This is tiring. 20,000 years later, we're still dealing with the same racism. We're still looking at our children who are being murdered. Not only they are murdering us, but we are so self-indulgent with all the foolishness, we're even murdering ourselves. Black on Black crime, we're killing each other, and not even for no reason at all that makes any kind of sense, because you want a corner or because you want to wear a certain color, and you're murdering yourselves, all that brilliance, all that possibilities, and you're just throwing it away. And we're not, those people who are in power, those people who can affect change, we're not bringing them all in and harnessing all that intellect, all that emotion, and helping our children be the best that they can be. We're all culpable.
We read in the papers and hear on the air of killing and stealing and crime everywhere. We sigh and we say as we notice the trend This younger generation, oh, where will it end? Can we be sure, Marsha, that it's their fault alone? Are we less guilty who place in their way so many things that lead them astray? Too much money, too much idle time, too many movies of passion and crime, too many books not fit to be read, too much evil in what they hear said, too many children encouraged to roam, and too many parents who won't stay at home. Kids don't write the movies. They don't write the books. They don't paint gay pictures of gangsters and crooks. They don't make the liquor. They don't make the laws. They don't make the cars. They don't make the bars. They don't make the drugs that muddle the brain. That's all done by older folk, greedy for gain. Delinquent teenagers, oh, how we condemn the sins of the nation. We blame on them. But by the laws of the blameless, the Savior made known. Who is there amongst you to cast the first stone? For in so many cases, it's sad, but it's true. The title delinquent fits older folk too. Richard Deshay Elliott, Marsha Jews, why don't you put a plug in for your respective broadcasts? Ladies first, of course. Did you mute yourself?
Miss Marsha, I think you're muted.
I'm so busy fussing. Marsha Jews with WKIM Media Network. We're on the blackusa.news, and we're Tuesdays from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. weekly.
Who'd you have on a couple of days ago?
I don't know. There's
That
so
was
many
election
people.
night. What'd you do election night?
Oh, I don't know. I think it was light and airy. I don't know what we did on election night. I gotta go. I'm moving forward, child.
Was that the 5-hour show or the 6-hour show?
Oh, the election night. That was you're funny. That was 2 hours. We had Heroes Camp
That
was
an
on the
inside
last
joke.
show. Yeah, that was really great. They're doing some wonderful stuff in my hometown, South Bend, Indiana. Heroes Camp. We should look at that and look at some of the things that they're
I'd
doing.
like to get an update from our watchmaker who moved to Brazil.
Oh yeah.
Make sure
We'll have to Richardson. So we'll get him back and see where he is. We'll do that. He's doing some wonderful stuff.
Okay, Richard Deshay Elliott, and special thank you to Richard. You have a serious fan club. Big ups to, is it Monica Jackson?
Yeah, Monica Jackson,
Also,
who was also very helpful with the David Grogan for Sheriff campaign. I'll plug my network, but first, thank you, Miss Marsha.
That's a highly contested race, by the way. 200 votes at last check. The sheriff's office is confident that John Anderson will have some mail-ins that will counter that 200. That's one of the hottest races out there. He's been our sheriff for 30 years, but there seems to be some type of insurrection within that camp.
Yes, and Donnie, I would love for you to do a segment that compares the possibilities of Kogan with the Bernstein administration, because if Kogan becomes the sheriff, it is very easy to consistently and permanently split the vote for sheriff by just having 3 random deputy sheriffs run for sheriff. And then you can become the sheriff for forever.
Did Monica run for office?
No, she was a supporter of David Grogan for sheriff in Prince George's County, another person I supported.
Grogan.
Yep. And then she also was, I said Grogan, not Kogan. My bad, they rhyme. And
yes,
supporter of Wes Moore for governor. But she attended several events, very, very kind and lovely person. Also a friend of the mayor, David Chapman. Got to give a shout out to Mayor Chapman, honorary mayor for Prince George's County.
Let me just say this, Richard. Marsha, this young man, in my best estimation of human beings that I've met halfway around the world, he is our future. I don't care what nobody says.
Brilliant.
I rides with Richard because, one, he thinks for himself. He doesn't care. I mean, he'll consider what you say, but you got to come with your facts. And I just wish I was as politically powerful, actionable at his young. How old are you, Rich?
I am 26.
Your baby, man.
But you're handling your business.
Yes, you do.
You were handling your business, and I'm really, really proud of you and everything that I heard today. And I want to get to know you better.
Hey,
Really proud of you.
let me plug this segment then, and I'll do a joint segment with you. Basically, whenever you text me the link, I do the Prince George's perspective on Black USA News. I haven't done it in a couple weeks because of the election. I help Martin Mitchell with the people over politics segments, which he releases every Monday. And dare I say, after this, it might be joint interviews of me, Martin, and various people, because what I think we need before the general is I want hour-long oral interviews from people, not just about what was your campaign, but when did you think stuff started changing? Why did you vote how you voted? I want people to start explaining why they do, because we have a lot of, in Black politics, what I call unexplainable answers. When people have unexplainable answers, they have unexplainable results. And they wonder how we've gone in reverse, arguably, from, I would say, at the very minimum, where we were before the pandemic.
Listen, Richard, what I want you to also do is think about bringing some of your peers on and having some discussions. The fact just hearing and listening to where you people are, where you are, is powerful. And I'm just delighted to see your involvement and
You
to
can't
hear
just be
the way
a
you're
Black
thinking.
candidate with Richard.
Say it again.
You can't be just a Black candidate. And I think that's what Richard exemplifies for the next generation. Don't come at them with that brother SHIT.
Right.
Don't come over here, hey brother, will you vote for me? You got to do more. Hey, these guys don't give anybody a pass.
Not even me. Not even me.
Barack Obama, not Westmore. They don't give each other a pass. They grill everybody at the door. And let me also say, Marsha, Monica said that he's beyond smart. I tell you that Richard is the Michael Jackson of his generation's politics. He's just started.
Yes.
I can assure you, he's just started.
Oh, he's just warming up. He's just warming up.
He's writing policy. And lastly, don't cut me off. I'm paying you props. Irvin Bernard Reed, highly recommended this man, as well as his partner in crime, Martin Mitchell. I had to say that because Irvin has been doing this longer than me, and Irvin does not give props to nobody.
Irvin's a history maker. Wayne is Irvin Reed.
He's not giving away props. He said these are the cats to watch. And not only have we watched them, we want to join forces with them, including Monica Jackson right here. Whatever you want to do, Richard he's going to be the general. Hey, you're a one-star general. Okay, welcome to the club.
Okay, BG, Brigadier.
Makes me the second highest ranking Elliot in military history.
Listen, what I'd like to see you all do.
And his mama ain't no joke. Oh, his mama remind me of you a little bit, because you know, Marsha, you're real dignified and you can speak the King's English, and of course you can have conversations about caviar and Canterbury.
And you're a nigga too, and I love you for that.
Don't cut me off. We know that you can be very proper, and so can his mama, but both of y'all got an urban edge. Thank you.
Miss Marsha, like my mom, you are a nigga, and I love you for that.
Oh my God, I can't say that on this show. You've cussed 3 times, Richard. We might have to have a talk.
You know what I'd like to see you do, Richard, think about, other than all that other stuff? You still have the general election in November. And so leading up to that, I think we should have several panel discussions with the people that are running. Right? We should plan it. It's offline, but I'd like that to happen. I think that would be very powerful. We have several of them because this is just July, August, September, October. We've got several months to plan it and pull together and have a couple of them. I think that would be really powerful. So thank you all for including me today. And Donnie, you answered my call to say what I needed to say. And
ladies and gentlemen, you just heard some foolishness right there. I want you to understand, I was threatened. I was interrupted. I was on vacation. I was about to sign off. and I get a phone call. This is no. I received a text. This is urgent. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me mute these microphones for a second. When someone who knows you hits you with a text, this is urgent. You think, damn, hope the leg didn't fall off, hope the house didn't fall down, something like that. But you got to consider the source. And that's the lesson here today, folks. Consider the source. Because if it was really urgent, she would have called me, right? Anyway, I digress.
But here we are. And I appreciate you. And what I was doing, I was walking around for the last couple of days. I've been very angry about these zip drives. And I wanted to come on Donnie's show and say what I'm saying. Those people need to be investigated. I believe, maintain, and contend that the election needs to start all over with the brand new election come August. And we should not be going into the general election with this foolishness. I don't trust it or want it.
Observation. Did I not see the news lady on Fox yesterday morning smiling, cheesing real hard when she was talking about the state's attorney's race? She was elated. I think they were very clear that Vignarajah didn't have a snowball's chance, especially when they start putting the truth out there for real about Freak Nasty. But they wanted anybody but
Greenmount Avenue.
They wanted anybody but Maryland. And that lady was cheesing on Fox yesterday morning very hard.
Well, but we already know that Fox is racist, period. Fox News is racist. They've been racist. They
play the race card.
Yeah, they're all of that.
And I keep hearing about Vignarajah dating one of the members of the family of Sinclair.
Whatever. All I know is that he's a very.
Will he run for mayor?
He's gonna run for anything just to keep his name out there. He's so egotistical. He don't care.
Well, name recognition compounds, Donnie. It's bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
After walking around with Hogan,
and you're asking for a prediction. I believe in the next election that Nick Mosby will challenge Brandon Scott because he kind of has to. And if there's an election where it's Nick Mosby, Brandon Scott, and Theroux, who knows what could happen? I'm not going to say that it means that Theroux wins, but clearly people are okay with at least preventing their favorite person from winning. Fox 45.
Does Nick have the credibility?
In my opinion, absolutely not. But also, Brandon has not been a very good mayor by any measurement of success. Granted, he inherited probably the worst circumstance you could imagine, a pandemic, an economic recession.
Let's put this out there. Don't put your damn name in the ring if you're going to come up with anything but solutions. Moving forward.
But solutions that you're actually going to be able to operationalize and to bring to fruition.
New rules. Forget the whole past. Come on, give me some new rules. New rules for anybody. Black, white, purple, plaid, straight, not straight, whatever. New rules. Come on, what do you want? New rules in case you didn't know. Now you know. Come on, Richard.
Number one, don't run for more than one office at a time. People will vote for you for the lower office. And so they don't have. I ran for 2 offices. The votes I got for Central Committee would have had me in like 5th place. As a result of running for 2 offices, people voted for me for Central Committee, not delegate, and not even fully for Central Committee. Don't be a baby. Don't be a young person and a visibly young person running. My middle name is Deshay. Deshay became a middle name circa 1990. So in the future, I will only run as Richard D. Elliott. But most important, don't turn your back on your friends.
Or your city.
Or your city, or people who you have been working with and have a good working relationship with. Government is no different than basketball or football or baseball. Team chemistry is the name of the game. And it is almost impossible to repair some relationships after how some elections go. And that's not a detriment for the staff. That's a detriment for the constituents and for the citizens.
I just want somebody to get in there, have a broad view of what's going on, and can narrow it down to a minutia level and understand all of the good, the bad, and the ugly, and affect change and make people's lives better. I should not be sitting here looking at the newspaper and understanding that the children in Baltimore City school system do not have the infrastructure for them to be the best that they can be. They don't have what they need at home to be supportive. The school system is failing our children in the Baltimore City school system. And we have a superintendent of schools who makes $385,000 per year. That's 7,000 and some change per week. Take a percentage of whatever that budget is, whatever the budget is for the school system, and put it into a place where children can actually have internet connections. They can have computers at home. They have the infrastructure to do what they need to do to be the best that they can be. We wonder about the squeegee kids, and the squeegee kids see that they're not, nobody cares about them, because if they did, they would have been already on a trajectory to be the best that they can be. And we have failed our children here.
I will say that excuses are tools of the incompetent, which lead to monuments of nothingness, and those who indulge in them will be seldom capable of anything.
Yep.
Incompetence.
And
My
say
name's
it
Johnny
again.
Glover for Richard D. Elliott and Marcia Jews. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Donnie. Bye-bye, Miss Marcia.